Afternoon and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going through everything you need to know about hostel life. Last year I spent the best part of 6 months travelling around Southeast Asia and spending the majority of that time staying in hostels instead of hotels. And I get constant questions on Instagram and YouTube comments asking me about hostel life. So today I'm going through the key things I think you need to know before you start staying in hostels. First thing you need to know is the key differences between a hostel and a hotel. The most obvious difference is that you'll be staying in dorm rooms instead of private rooms. Because of that, hostels are normally cheaper, but they're less secure. They've got more social aspects, but they're harder to have your own space. There is no hostels are right for you, hotels are right for you. It depends on your situation, it depends on what you want to do. One of the biggest questions I get asked is, are all hostels party hostels? No, but a lot of hostels are party hostels. One of the biggest appeals to the hostel lifestyle for budget backpackers or backpackers in general, those traveling around, is the social element that comes with a hostel. Hostels are incredibly social. From the dorm room where you're staying in a room with multiple people and you just get to know these people, you get chatting to them, talk about your experiences, everything like that. To outside, a lot of hostels have pools, people get chatting around the pool. A lot of hostels have bars, it's people get chatting around the bar, have a few drinks together. There's a really big social aspect to hostels, which is one of the biggest appeals for hostels for most people. Because one of the biggest appeals of hostels is the social side, a lot of hostels will have a bar and they'll have a really good social life, which inevitably leads to drinking and partying. There are definitely hostels that have a more chilled out approach. For example, one of my favourite hostels in Bali is in Canggu and it's called Cocoa and Pineapple Pants Hostel. I love this hostel because it's still affordable, really comfy beds, really new and really modern. There is this communal area, but the bar is basically just a fridge with some beers in it. It's not a proper bar. So there isn't really a party social aspect to this hostel, but it's right in the heart of Canggu, so it's very easy to go out if you want that party side. On the other side of it, my favourite party hostel in Canggu is the Farm Hostel. I love this hostel and everything about it, but it is very much a party hostel. Everyone's around the pool, it's got happy hour every day. They organise drinking events like beer pong tournaments or just arrange that everyone will go out to the same club on a certain night. It's a really fun party social life aspect to this hostel. But because it's a party hostel, it's very easy to get sucked into the party life. I went to Canggu wanting to sit down and crack on, do some work, do some editing, and I spent the entire week just partying and socialising. And don't get me wrong, it was an amazing week, but I didn't get any of the work that I wanted to get done, which is a negative of party hostels if you are working on the road. There's a couple of fairly obvious risks that come with party hostels. You run the risk of drunk dorm mates coming in and waking you up in the middle of the night. As I've already said, they're quite hard to work in. But as I say, the social aspect of party hostels and hostels in general is through the roof.
How are you? Hello.
She's gonna hate me for this. There you go. She doesn't like being picked up, which is why you always see Enzo, but you don't see Bella. No, she's gone. Okay. If you put yourself in a position to make friends, you will make friends. A common myth is if you're solo traveling, you're on your own and you get lonely. If you put yourself in a position to make friends, you will. The majority of people in that hostel are doing the exact same thing you're doing, so everyone is willing to chat and meet new people, and that's part of the best part of traveling, is meeting new people and making these new friends and these relationships that you make along the road. It's part of the fun of travel. Hostels are a great place just to meet people and make new friends. And as I say, often the hostel will arrange nights out, or they'll arrange tours, or for example in Vang Veng in Laos, the hostel arranged the tipsy tubing tour. So we got to go out and do the tipsy tubing where we floated down a river in the middle of Laos, drinking beer along the way. It was a great tour and it was arranged at the hostel, so everyone who was on my tour was staying at my hostel. So then when we went back at the end of the night, everyone's there and the night continued and it was just great fun. Before we get any further into the video, I've created a full guide on hostel life. This is another completely free resource that I've made for you guys. It's a PDF guide going through everything we're talking about in this video in more depth, and you've got even more information in there as well. From the differences between hotels and hostels, the pros and cons, to my tips for getting out of a bad hostel, my tips for keeping safe, and my tips for hostel life in general, as well as going in about the other facts of hostel life, such as party hostels, gender-specific dorm rooms, shared bathrooms, security lockers. I've spent the last 3 months creating this guide, specifically for you guys, and as I say, it's completely free. The link is in the description below, so if you find this video helpful and interesting, I highly recommend you go check out this guide. Completely free. So let's go through some of my tips for hostel life. If you're unsure about a hostel, book one night in advance and then decide when you get there if you're going to stay longer. I did this so often. Sometimes the hostel looks great, but the reviews are questionable and you're not really sure. Or maybe there's nowhere really left to stay in that place because it's a busy season and it's the best of a bad bunch. Whatever the reasoning is, this is a really good way to just dip your feet in the water of a hostel. I've done it before where I've gone to a hostel, I booked one night, I very quickly realised I was not willing to stay here any longer than one night, and I didn't even unpack my bags. I slept in the bed with my bags in the bed with me, and as soon as I could the next day I checked out and went and checked into a new hostel. As I say, sometimes there's reasons like the area is too busy or there's an event going on that you just can't get a hostel. You have to pick the best one out of a bad bunch. This is a really good way of doing it. Always pick a room with security lockers. Even if you're not a traveling creative such as myself, you've got valuables on you. You've got your phone, you've got your passport, you've got your cash. Maybe a lot of people do travel with a camera even if they're not content creators per se. It's always worth getting a room with a security locker to lock away your things. Off the back of this tip, this comes from personal experience in a dodgy hostel. Get one with the security lockers that you lock with your own padlock. If the padlock's built in, the hostel and staff will have a spare key to that locker. Yeah, I'm not willing to take that risk. Especially in the hostel that I'm referring to, was not willing to take that risk. If you're new to hostel life, start with smaller dorms. The biggest dorm room I've stayed in was a dorm room of 16 people. And this was at the back end of the 6-month trip. I was completely comfortable in hostels. I really didn't mind at all. And over the weekend, this room was actually completely full because of an event going on in the town. But if you've never stayed in a hostel before, don't book a 16-person dorm room. That's literally throwing yourself in the deep end. The smallest dorm room I've stayed in was a 3-bed dorm room. In my experience, the averages are usually 4, 6, 8 and 10. They're the most common range of bed sizes I see in dorm rooms. But if you're new to hostel life, start at the lower end. Start down in the 4-bed dorm rooms. Get used to sharing a room with strangers because it is a bit of a weird experience when you first do it. And as you get more comfortable, start getting the bigger dorm rooms. The reason you'd get the bigger dorm rooms is because the bigger the dorm rooms, generally the cheaper it is. Earplugs and an eye mask are always a good idea, not just for the obvious reasons. I think the obvious reasons are doormates coming back drunk, snorers, sleep talkers, just people that stay up late, people that get up early. It's always a good idea to have an eye mask and earplugs. The unobvious ones is I stayed in a dorm room in Denpasar in Bali. Luckily I was only there for one night. However, all the beds were against windows and there were no curtains. And I was unfortunate enough to get the bed on the side of the room where the sun came up. So 5 AM, sun's blowing my eyes. Not only that, I had a chicken coop outside my window that when I checked in at 1 AM after my flight to Bali, I didn't see the chicken coop, or rooster coop actually, because again, at 5 AM as soon as the sun started coming up, that thing would not shut up. So yeah, I got maybe 4 hours of sleep after a travel day from the UK all the way to Bali. Oh yeah, that was interesting. And I did have earplugs and an eye mask, but they were just packed in my backpack and I was just not willing to get them out. In retrospect, I probably should have, but it was too late. I was already awake. And always check the reviews. I always check the reviews for security and bed comfort. I can't sleep on a solid mattress. I just can't do it. So I always check the reviews for those two things. And it's not uncommon for a hostel to have really high ratings, but in the reviews, there's something that for you might really put you off a hostel and loads of people are commenting on it, but they've still given it a high rating because everything else was great. So if there's anything else you want to know about hostel life, I recommend checking out this guide first. As I say, it's completely free download. All you need to do is pop in your email address on my website and this guide will be downloaded completely free. And I've packed in even more information into this guide than there is in this video. If you've read the guide, you've watched the video, you've still got more questions about hostel life, drop a comment down below. I reply to every single comment. The reason I say drop a comment as well is because it gives other people in the community the chance to look at the comment section and their question might also be answered there. But for whatever reason you don't want to comment, just message me on Instagram, @LukePalms. I reply to every single DM. On that note, if I don't reply to you, it's because Instagram just doesn't tell me I've got message requests, and it's really annoying. I've included more tips for security, and I've included tips on how to get out of a bad hostel in this guide as well. So as I say, I think it's really worth downloading. Go check it out. It's a completely free guide. That's all for me. I really hope you found this interesting or helpful. If you did, drop a thumbs up down below. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, hit the bell to be notified when I upload, all the other stuff that YouTubers tell you to do. And I'll see you in the next one. Don't forget to take the shot. Peace.